If you decided to shock a store cashier, what set of items would you choose? Find out the work schedule of a specific cashier and, in the first week, buy carrots and Vaseline. Each week, buy a larger vegetable than the previous one, for example, in this order: cucumbers, zucchini, eggplants, rutabaga. While paying for your purchases, casually complain that it's become hard for you to walk. Let me give you an example of a real set of products I once brought to the checkout. I was heading to the Download Festival. My friends, who had gone a day earlier, were kind enough to take my tent and even set it up. But then they wrote to me that it was leaking during the rain. Being young and inexperienced, I stopped by a supermarket on the way and bought a roll of trash bags to put over the tent. Naturally, I also had to grab some tape to attach the bags to the tent and a utility knife to cut them. Considering I was going to a rock festival, I couldn't resist buying alcohol, and I also picked up some condoms in case I got lucky. The expression on the cashier's face was unforgettable. A little over 10 years ago, when everyone started living in constant fear after September 11th, two of my friends worked at a Boy Scout camp. Although they were in their 20s and not counselors, they had to wear the same uniform as their charges. One of them had a car, so every week they were sent to all the camp units to find out what supplies were needed, and then they'd go to Walmart to buy them. One day, they went to the store with a shopping list. At the checkout, they placed their items on the counter. The cashier, a mature woman over 40, scanned 25 boxes of air rifle pellets without batting an eye. Then she scanned 3 boxes of cake mix and 5 boxes of rat poison. That's when she paused, wondering what this was all for. All sorts of scenarios started running through her head: air rifle pellets, cake mix, rat poison. She seemed to forget her routine work and stared suspiciously at the two overgrown guys in Boy Scout uniforms. My friend couldn't resist the temptation, looked down at the floor, put on a very grim expression, and muttered through gritted teeth, "There's steam." Without taking her eyes off my friends, the cashier picked up the phone and said, "Security to register for." Security took them to their office, where they had to explain, barely holding back laughter, that everything was bought for the camp: pellets for the shooting range, cake mix for the director's birthday cake, and rat poison for the storage rooms, not to poison the cake. Security let them take everything but escorted them to the exit. Another friend, who also loved to prank, leaned over to the first one and theatrically whispered, "Phew, they believed us." After that, both were banned from returning to the store. Buy one phallic-shaped item at a time and place them on the conveyor belt in order of increasing size: banana, cucumber, sausage, zucchini, carrot, and so on. We used to have fun like this in high school. We even had a rule that you could only buy 3 items, and their total cost couldn't exceed a certain limit. Here are the winning sets: tissues, lotion, a DVD of Dora the Explorer, a cake with "Happy Birthday, Grandma" written on it, rat poison, and a condolence card, a shower head, a German dictionary, and a gas mask. Pay for your purchases with the exact amount, down to the penny. I did this a few times. I'd buy 2 or 3 ordinary items, mentally add up their prices while waiting in line, and when the cashier rang up the total, I'd hand over the exact amount. Some of them looked at me like I was an alien. Paper, pens, sleeping pills, Jack Daniel's whiskey, a shower curtain rod, rope, and lottery tickets worth $1,000. I had moved to another city for college. The paper and pens were for school, the sleeping pills were because I suffer from insomnia, and my dorm neighbors were quite noisy. The whiskey was for a planned party. The previous tenants had taken the shower curtain rod, and since I have a gambling addiction, I bought lottery tickets with part of my student loan money. The rope? I bought it just to mess with the cashier. This really happened to me. I went to a store's checkout at 1 in the morning with just a plunger. The cashier, without even looking at me, asked, "How are you doing, sir?" I replied, "I'm buying this thing at 1 in the morning. How do you think I'm doing?" Neither of us said another word. I'm not sure if this fits the topic, but I did my part as best I could. Once, I unintentionally scared a cashier. I bought the following items: black trash bags, face masks, Vicks VapoRub, perfect for applying to the inside of face masks to avoid fogging, a box of rubber gloves, carpet cleaner, air freshener, scented candles, a pack of wet wipes, and a large roll of paper towels. The thing is, our dog had diarrhea and was making a mess all over the house while we were at work. The cashier looked at me like she was debating whether to call the cops. I explained the whole situation, but I doubt she believed me. We didn't shock the cashier too much, but the situation was ambiguous. My boyfriend, his friend, and his friend's girlfriend decided to go north to see the snow. My boyfriend's friend always hung out with us, and at some point, he wanted to record a video of our trip. I brought a camera, and we went to Walmart to buy discs for the camera and condoms. Suddenly, I realized how weird it looked that the three of us were buying this particular set of items. I was afraid the cashier would think we were going home to have a threesome and film it, even though we definitely weren't going to do that. My friends and I loved playing a game we borrowed from a comic book series called Thank God You're Not Closed. The rules were as follows: gather a group, set a spending limit, say $5 to $10, go to a grocery store or supermarket, and each person buys 2 items, the weirder, more useless, and unrelated to each other, the better. After finding the items, rush to the checkout, and while they're ringing up your items, like a can of food and a no parking sign, act exhausted from running and say, "Thank God you're not closed." Meet up with the group and compare purchases. If you want, you can turn it into a competition. I won't go into details, but once my friend bought canned meat and nails. We unanimously declared it the weirdest set. Just stand in line at the checkout with empty hands. No, nothing today, thanks. Once, in a supermarket bathroom, I heard someone opening a product package. I called security, and they entered the bathroom when it happened. The thief immediately left the bathroom. We then watched on the cameras as he wandered between the aisles, but it didn't look like he stole anything. Then he approached the checkout with empty hands, and when it was his turn, he just walked past the cashier. Later, we checked the aisles he'd been in and noticed the items he'd touched. We concluded he stole a micro SD card because someone found its torn packaging in the bathroom trash. Naturally, if you're not buying anything, you don't have to stand in line. I think he reasoned, I went through the checkout, so I didn't steal anything. I'm just like any other shopper. The most interesting moment I witnessed with a security guard was when a middle-aged white man in a Hawaiian shirt and khaki shorts tried to hide 2 laptops in his shorts. Once, my brother and I went to a supermarket. He was 21, and I was 27. We bought several lighters, 6 rolls of duct tape, some alcohol, a deodorant spray, and about 13 meters of rope. When we got to the checkout, a little old lady, about 70, looked at us in surprise and asked, "Boys, what are you going to do with all this?" My brother stared at her intently and said with a very serious expression, "It's classified information." She rang us up, and we left. We didn't say a word until we were out of the building, but then we both nearly burst from laughing, as if we'd inhaled laughing gas. I needed the deodorant, the rope was for making bracelets and keychains, the duct tape was for securing wires, plus, I always keep an extra roll handy, the lighters were for setting off fireworks, and the alcohol was for a party after the fireworks. Take a photo of the cashier as soon as you enter, go to the photo lab, print the picture, find a photo frame among the store's items, and put the photo in it. Then go to the checkout with some tape and a bottle of bleach. Kiss the photo after you pay. For extra effect, don't take your eyes off the cashier. The tape and bleach are unnecessary, just the framed photo will be enough to shock the cashier. I started this thread to tell everyone that it's impossible to shock a supermarket cashier. They're not paid enough, and they don't have time to care about what you're buying. But a framed photo of them? They can't miss that. Great idea, a pack of diapers, some baby formula, and a bottle of vodka. Then realize you don't have enough money, set aside the diapers and formula, and pay only for the vodka. I used to work as a cashier, and this kind of thing happened quite often. We did this a lot in college. The most we shocked them was when we bought a coloring book, children's cough syrup, and a pack of condoms. I'd explain it like this: our kid is sick, but that won't ruin our plans for tonight. Go to the checkout with a pack of condoms, act like you don't have enough money, return them to the shelf, and come back with a roll of plastic bags and some tape. You can't surprise cashiers with any of the things listed, nothing would scare them. People have come to my register with sets like lube, a backpack with a child leash, 2 Jurassic Park Lego sets, ointment, children's underwear, a bra so huge it could cover a tank, DVDs of several seasons of Seinfeld, a popcorn maker, and a bottle of bleach. Carefully place 3 peas on the conveyor belt, 7 centimeters apart. When the cashier picks them up, don't forget to say, maintain the distance between them. Condoms, lube, a cactus, bonus points if you put the condom on the cactus right after the cashier scans it. A huge roll of tape, a rug, a shovel. I once bought tape, a rug, and a shovel. And then, lube, a first aid kit, laxatives, a plunger, a large pack of toilet paper rolls. For your sake, I hope you don't have to use this whole set at once. I worked in a supermarket, and we were always amused that a guy from an adult film studio would occasionally come in to grab a snack. Then one day, as if it was nothing, along with his lunch, he bought whipped cream, strawberries, a cucumber, and chocolate syrup. We were like, no way. We found out where he worked because his car had the company logo, and he sometimes wore a shirt with the same logo, which clearly hinted that his company was tied to adult entertainment. I worked on special effects for a movie, and at one point, we realized we needed lube to make the toy monsters look shinier on camera. I loaded up a cart with all the lube in the store when I got a call telling me to also buy all their gel pens. I went to the checkout with a cart full of lube tubes and gel pens, looked at the cashier, and said I was trying to set a world record. She scanned everything without saying a word. It was so funny. A true story, a colleague of my friend was going to his girlfriend's place, who has a dog. He stopped by a supermarket and bought DVDs, condoms, and dog food. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new, super interesting discussions. In the meantime, check out our other videos.